Have you ever felt like you are pouring everything into something but no one's watching? Like you are chasing a dream and the world just keeps scrolling past? What if I told you that one of the biggest creators in the world today started off with a broken mic, $0 and a dream most people laughed at? No expensive camera, no big production team, just a teenager obsessing over YouTube in his bedroom with one belief echoing in his heart. One day they will notice. That teenager, his name is Jimmy Donaldson, you know him as MrBeast. Today he is not just one of the most watched creators on the planet, he is a business mogul, a philanthropist and a creator of $1 billion content empire. But this story isn't just about crazy stunts and giant giveaways. It's about obsession, failure, heartbreak, purpose, and the power of one person's will to make the world better. So grab your headphones because this isn't just a story of MrBeast. This is a masterclass in turning dreams into legacy. This is the untold story of how a kid with no connections turned kindness into content and built a $1 billion brand by giving it all away. Let's go back. Before the millions of subscribers, before the private jets, the beast burgers and the cash giveaways, there was just Jimmy, a quite skinny kid growing up in a small town called Greenville in North Carolina. Born on May 7, 1998 in Wichita, Kansas, Jimmy was raised in a modest household. His mom was a hard-working single parent, juggling responsibilities, doing everything she could to support her two sons. Money was always tight, vacations rare, fancy gadgets out of reach. But there was one escape that Jimmy clung to. One place that made the world feel big, exciting and full of possibility. YouTube. While other kids played outside, Jimmy was diving into YouTube. Not just watching videos but studying them, analyzing what worked, what didn't. He would pause videos frame by frame, studying thumbnails, titles and pacing. This wasn't a hobby for him, it was a calling. And in 2012, at the age of just 13, he uploaded his first video under the name MrBeast 6000. The content, Minecraft, Let's Play, silly reaction videos, low on quality but high on energy and barely any views. But Jimmy didn't care. Even at that young age, he believed he could figure out how YouTube worked, how to crack the code, how to go viral, not by luck but by pure understanding. So while most teenagers were hanging out, partying and gaming for fun, Jimmy was building spreadsheets, tracking video stats, experimenting with video formats, tweaking thumbnails. Every night was a lab, every upload a new test, and every failure just another clue. But for years, the world ignored him. Hundreds of videos, dozens of ideas and still almost no one watching. But what the world didn't see yet was the storm Jimmy was preparing to unleash. Because behind that soft voice and small town life was a young creator sharpening his vision for something far, far greater. Before the millions of subscribers, before the viral videos, before the money, the brands or the fame, Jimmy Donaldson was just a teenager filming in his bedroom and no one was watching. For 5 long years, MrBeast created videos and almost no one cared. He tried everything, let's play, game commentaries, tutorials, reaction videos. He did it for hours on free software, struggling with outdated gear and slow internet, and every time he hit upload he'd hope, maybe this one will go viral. But it didn't. Sometimes he'd upload a video and get 5 views. 1 from him, 2 from his mom, and the rest who knows. And yet he kept going. While his classmates went to football games or parties, Jimmy locked himself in his room with one mission. Figure out YouTube. He wasn't just making content, he was testing titles, analyzing thumbnails, studying click-through rates and watch time. He filled notebooks with channel analytics. He'd spend hours watching YouTube gurus break down algorithm tricks, and then he'd test them again and again and again. Most creators make videos, MrBeast was building a blueprint. But obsession comes at a cost. He dropped out of college after just 2 weeks, convinced it was a waste of time. His family was worried, even friends didn't get it. He was broke, tired, alone in his mission. Some nights he'd ask himself, is this worth it? What if it never works? But here's what's different about Jimmy. He wasn't chasing fame, he wasn't chasing money, he was chasing mastery. A single-minded obsession to crack the code, not for fame, but because he believed he was born to do it. For 5 years, Jimmy Donaldson failed, and that's exactly why he succeeded. Because while the world scrolled past his videos, he was building muscle no one could see. Patience, resilience, discipline, vision. He wasn't growing an audience. He was growing the version of himself that the world would soon be unable to ignore. March 2017. Jimmy sits in front of his camera with one idea so ridiculous, so absurd that it just might work. He presses record and begins counting 1, 2, 3, 4,000, 6,000, 12,000. He was counting to 100,000. No gimmicks, no flashy edits, just a guy sitting counting for 40 straight hours. He didn't eat much, he didn't sleep much, he just kept counting because he had a hunch no one had ever done this. When the video finally went live, no one knew what to expect. But something strange happened. People started watching and commenting and sharing. The video went viral, millions of views. Suddenly the world noticed. The crazy kid with the big ideas was no longer invisible. It was Jimmy's first taste of the spotlight. But more importantly, it proved something he'd believed for years. If you do what no one else will do, in a way no one else dares to try, people will watch. He followed it up by reading the dictionary, saying Logan Paul 100,000 times, watching paint dry, and spinning a fidget spinner for 24 hours. Weird, right? Boring? Maybe. Brilliant? Absolutely. Because Jimmy wasn't just chasing clicks, he was testing human attention and proving that endurance could be entertainment. With the viral momentum building, Jimmy finally got a sponsorship deal. It was $10,000, more money that he'd ever had in his life. Most people would have spent it. New phone, new camera, maybe a gaming setup. Not Jimmy. He gave it away, every dollar, to a homeless man on the street. He handed him the money, said thank you and walked away. The man looked confused, then started crying. And the internet, it couldn't stop watching. That video blew up, and with it Jimmy found his true niche, viral generosity. From then on, MrBeast turned giving into a show. He gave his mom $100,000, brought cars for strangers, left $1,000 tips for waitresses, handed out briefcases full of cash, and every time people tuned in by the millions. Why? Because in the world full of drama, negativity and fake flexes, MrBeast brought something rare to YouTube. Oh, he showed us that kindness can trend, that giving can go viral, that changing someone's life can be entertaining. And the best part, he wasn't giving for fame, he was giving because he wanted to, and people felt that. Behind the $1 million giveaways, behind the smiles and the spectacle, Jimmy was in pain, real pain. At just 15 years old, he was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, a chronic, painful inflammation of the digestive system. There were days he couldn't eat, days he was curled up in bed, exhausted, bleeding, weak, nauseated. But he still showed up, still filmed, still smiled. You'd never know it watching his videos, because he made joy for others, even while he battled silently himself. He's spoken about it in interviews, the fatigue, the cramps, the fear, and how he has had to learn what to eat, how to rest, and when to push through. Even when his body begged him to stop, but he didn't stop, because he knew his mission was bigger than his pain. He turned suffering into strength, and in doing so showed millions that no matter what you are going through, you can still show up for your dreams. By 2019, MrBeast was no longer just a creator. He was becoming a machine. One video at a time, one thumbnail at a time. Jimmy was engineering a content empire the world had never seen before. But how did he go from solo YouTuber to building a production powerhouse? Jimmy knew something most creators overlook. To scale, he had to build a team. He wasn't just making videos anymore, he was running a company. He hired childhood friends, trained editors, recruited writers, camera operators, set designers, producers. And suddenly, MrBeast became more than just a guy doing crazy challenges. This wasn't a YouTube channel anymore. It became a full-scale studio, shooting blockbuster content every single week with military precision. Each video became a mission, each idea bigger than the last. Last to leave the circle wins $500,000. I gave my 100 million subscriber an island, surviving 50 hours buried alive. He rented stadiums, bought entire stores, built real-life versions of Squid Game, Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, and even prisons. And with every upload, he broke the internet again. Behind the scenes, his team was analyzing data, testing thumbnails, rewriting scripts, optimizing every second. Because for MrBeast, every detail matters. He once said, I wake up, I work on videos, I go to bed, and that's all I have done for the last 10 years. And it shows. But here's the incredible part which most creators miss. Jimmy wasn't just making content. He was creating systems. He developed standard operating procedures for every part of the process, from ideation to execution, from scripting to post-production, from publishing to promotion. It wasn't chaos. It was choreographed creativity. And it allowed him to do the impossible. Upload bigger, bolder, better videos consistently. And he never forgot the people who helped him rise. He brought his friends along for the journey, giving them roles, responsibilities, and sometimes even entire channels. Chris, Chandler, Carl, Nolan, they weren't just side characters, they were family. Loyalty built into the business. This wasn't just about views, it was about legacy. MrBeast wasn't building a YouTube channel anymore. He was building an entertainment empire, a factory of viral ideas, positive impact, and jaw-dropping content that spanned across languages, cultures, and generations. From a bedroom in North Carolina to becoming the face of modern YouTube. He didn't just write the algorithm, he rewrote it. But here's where it gets even crazier. Jimmy wasn't just creating content. He was quietly turning MrBeast into a brand portfolio. MrBeast Gaming 38 million plus subs. Beast Reacts 25 million plus subs. Beast Philanthropy 20 million plus subs. MrBeast and Espanol, Arabic and more global versions of his content. Feastables, his own chocolate snack brand. Beast Burger, a nationwide ghost kitchen restaurant chain. Clothing and merch with drop sellings out in hours. Investment in tech creators and tools behind the scenes. Every piece of the puzzle was feeding the next. Revenue from videos funded giveaways. Giveaways attracted viewers. Viewers become loyal fans. Fans bought chocolate and burgers. Revenue circled back into content. He created a self-sustaining ecosystem, a loop of attention, impact, and income. And that's when the world started paying attention. In 2023, Jimmy made headlines. He was reportedly offered $1 billion to buy out his content empire, and he said no because he believed it was worth more. The channels, the audience, the reach, the brands. Jimmy wasn't just a YouTube anymore. He was a tech CEO, a media mogul, a brand builder who understood one thing better than anyone. Attention is the new oil, and he had it by the billions. Today, MrBeast's companies and brands are estimated to be worth well over $1 billion, and that number still rising. From a bedroom in North Carolina to being YouTube's #1 creator, to building a $1 billion brand without a single traditional investor. All because he obsessed over one thing, making great videos. No shortcuts, no gimmicks, just insane work ethic, smart scaling, and passion to entertain and uplift the world. This wasn't luck, this was design. And Jimmy Donaldson designed it all, one video at a time. For most creators, going viral is the dream. But for Jimmy Donaldson, aka MrBeast, that was just step one. Because once he had the audience, once he had the influence, once he had the money, he asked himself a deeper question. How can I use all of this to actually change lives? That question would give birth to something much bigger than content. It gave birth to MrBeast Philanthropy. In 2020, Jimmy launched Beast Philanthropy, a channel fully dedicated to giving back. But this wasn't just random donations caught on camera. It aimed for structured giving, organized outreach, and sustainable impact. It wasn't staged, it wasn't scripted, it was real people in real pain, receiving real help from a guy who just wanted to make the world a little better. From delivering meals to families in need, to funding food pantries across the US, to providing water wells in Africa. MrBeast wasn't just giving, he was rebuilding hope. In rural villages where clean water was a dream, Jimmy funded dozens of wells, bringing life to thousands. In communities struck by poverty or disaster, he delivered truckloads of food, paid medical bills, and rebuilt homes. And here's the craziest part. Every cent the Beast Philanthropy channel earns, from ads, sponsorships, merch, goes right back into helping people. Jimmy once said, I don't want to live in a world where someone can't afford to eat or get clean water. If I can help change that, why wouldn't I? And that's exactly what he's doing. In just a few years, Beast Philanthropy has served millions of meals, donated thousands of toys, clothing, and essentials, funded countless schools, shelters, and aid projects, and inspired millions of fans to give back too. Because Jimmy knows something powerful. Philanthropy can be contagious. When people see others give with joy, with heart, with no strings attached, they want to do the same. Every video wasn't just a giveaway, it was a message. The internet can be used for good. In a world where internet fame often breeds ego, excess, and entitlement, MrBeast flipped the script. He showed the world that giving can go viral, that kindness can trend, that changing lives is the most powerful form of content. He's not trying to be the richest, he's trying to be the most impactful. And in doing so, he's quietly rewriting what it means to be a YouTuber, a creator, and a human being. MrBeast had done something no algorithm ever could. He changed the culture. He showed the world that you don't have to hurt others to go viral. You don't need drama, diss tracks, or controversy. Sometimes, giving a stranger hope is more powerful than any prank or roast ever could be. In a digital world flooded with distractions, where trends rise and fall overnight, one name stands tall, not just for views but for values, MrBeast. But what will Jimmy Donaldson be remembered for? A billion-dollar empire? A record-breaking YouTube career? Changing the game forever? Obviously yes, but his true legacy runs deeper. It's about what he left behind and what he taught us along the way. Lesson 1. Obsession is a superpower. Jimmy once said, "I studied YouTube every day for 10 years. Not casually, not when he was in the mood, each and every day." He didn't become MrBeast because he was lucky. He became MrBeast because he was obsessed with improving, with learning, with serving the audience better each time. He watched thousands of videos, took notes on thumbnails, tested titles, learned retention rates, reverse engineered virality. In a world chasing shortcuts, MrBeast showed us that deep focus beats shallow talent. Lesson 2. Think bigger, then bigger again. When others gave away $1,000, he gave away $100,000. When they did 24 hours challenges, he stayed buried alive for 50 hours. And when most creators were chasing fame, Jimmy was building a legacy. He didn't limit his ideas based on budget. He dreamed it first, then figured out how to make it happen. From renting out stadiums to recreating Squid Game to launching global food brands and philanthropic missions. He taught us that if the idea is strong enough, the how will follow. Lesson 3. Make giving the goal. In the age of flex culture, where success is measured by Lamborghinis and luxury, MrBeast redefined what it means to win. Giving became the goal, donating millions to strangers, starting a food bank, paying for surgeries, changing lives in every video. He proved that generosity and business are not opposites, they can grow together. And that true happiness doesn't come from what we keep, but what we give away. Lesson 4. Build systems, not just content. Most YouTubers create videos. MrBeast created infrastructure. He built a system so well oiled, he could scale to multiple channels, brands, and languages, all without losing quality or soul. That's how legacies are built. Not just with passion, but with systems. Lesson 5. Use your platform for good. Jimmy's reach goes far beyond numbers. He inspired a new generation of creators who now care more about impact than influence. He planted a seed in millions of hearts that the internet doesn't have to be toxic, that virality doesn't have to be cruel, that goodness can go viral too, and that you don't need to be rich to give. You just need to care. So what's next for MrBeast? More subscribers, more businesses, more records shattered? Probably. But maybe his greatest achievement isn't what he builds, it's what he awakens in the rest of us. The courage to chase crazy dreams, the desire to make others smile, the belief that kindness matters, the understanding that we all have something to give. MrBeast didn't just build a billion-dollar empire, he built a movement. And now it's our turn. What if the greatest success story of our generation wasn't about money or fame or subscribers? What if it was about impact? What if one boy from North Carolina with no money, no fancy equipment, and no connections to the world of fame could rise up, and in doing so lift millions with him? That's the story of MrBeast. A kid who started with a camera and an obsession, who worked through pain, burnout, and doubt, who failed more times than we will ever know, and kept going anyway. And today his videos don't just entertain us, they restore our faith in what's possible. They remind us that kindness is power, and that no dream is too big if you care enough to chase it. So what's the takeaway? It's not about trying to be the next MrBeast. It's about becoming the first you. the version of yourself that gives, creates, and uplifts. Maybe you are just starting, maybe you feel invisible, but remember, so did Jimmy. And if he could do it, so can you. If this story moved you, if it made you believe just a little more in people, in possibility, in purpose, then take a second to support this channel. Like the video, leave a comment sharing what inspired you, and subscribe for more untold stories of those who dared to dream big. Because this world needs more light, and it starts with you.